The pectoral girdle and upper limb. The pectoral girdle. Pectoral girdle is also known as shoulder girdle. It consists of two bones, a clavicle and a scapula. Figure 8. Parts of pectoral girdle. Clavicle, also known as collarbone, a slender, doubly curved bone, attaches to the manubrium of the sternum medially and to the scapula laterally, helps to form a shoulder joint, to hold the arm away from the top of the thorax and prevent shoulder dislocation. Figure 9. Scapulae, also known as shoulder blades, shaped triangular and commonly called wings, because they flare when we move our arms posteriorly. Parts of scapula. Each scapula has a flattened body and two important processes. Acromion. The acromion is the enlarged end of the spine of the scapula and connects with the clavicle laterally at the acromioclavicular joint. Coracoid. The beak-like coracoid process points over the top of the shoulder and anchors some of the muscles of the arm. Just medial to the coracoid process is the large suprascapular notch, which serves as a nerve passageway. The upper limb. 30 separate bones form the skeletal framework of each upper limb. It has 3 parts. Arm. Formed by a single bone, the humerus, which is a typical long bone, a long bone extending from the shoulder to the elbow. Forearm. 2 bones form a skeleton of the forearm. The radius. In the anatomical position of the body, it is the lateral bone, situated on the thumb side of the forearm, crosses over and ends up medial to the ulna. The ulna. The medial bone, on the little finger side of the forearm. Hand. The skeleton of the hand consists of carpals, the metacarpals, and the phalanges. Figure 10. Bones of hand. Carpal bones. 8 carpal bones, arranged in 2 irregular rows of 4 bones each, form a part of the hand called carpus, or more commonly, the wrist. Metacarpals. The metacarpals are numbered 1 to 5 from the thumb side of the hand to the little finger. When the fist is clenched, the heads of the metacarpals become obvious as the knuckles. Phalanges. The phalanges are the bones of the fingers. Each hand contains 14 phalanges. There are 3 in each finger, proximal, middle, and distal, except in the thumb, which has only 2 proximal and distal. Figure 11. The pelvic girdle and lower limb. The pelvic girdle. The pelvic girdle is also known as hip bones. It's formed with 3 parts. Ilium. Connects posteriorly with the sacrum at the sacroiliac joint, a large, flaring bone that forms most of the hip bone. Ischium. Also known as sit-down bone, so called because it forms the most inferior part of the coxal bone. Pubis. The pubis or pubic bone is the most anterior part of the coxal bone. Figure 12. The lower limb. The bones forming the lower limb are fragmented into 3 parts. Thigh. The femur, or thigh bone, is the only bone in the thigh. It is the largest, heaviest, strongest bone in the body. Leg. Connected along its length by an interosseous membrane. 2 bones form the skeleton of the leg. The tibia, also known as shin bone, is larger and more medial. At the proximal end, the medial and lateral condyles articulate with the distal end of the femur to form the knee joint. Fibula. The fibula, which lies along the tibia and forms joints with it both proximally and distally, is thin and stick-like. The fibula has no part in forming the knee joint. Foot. It supports our body weight and serves as a lever that allows us to propel our bodies forward when we walk and run. Figure 13. Bones of foot. The foot is composed of 3 parts. Tarsus. The tarsus, forming the posterior half of the foot, is composed of 7 tarsal bones. Metatarsals. 5 metatarsals form the sole. Phalanges. 14 phalanges form the toes. Each toe has 3 phalanges, except the great toe, which has 2. Figure 14. Summary. In this module, we have covered the following points. The skull is a bony structure that forms the head and vertebrates. 14 bones compose the face. The accessory structures of the eye include the extrinsic eye muscles, eyelids, conjunctiva, and lacrimal apparatus. The ear is divided into 3 major areas: external, middle, inner ear. The vertebral column extends from the skull, which it supports, to the pelvis, where it transmits the weight of the body to the lower limbs. 30 separate bones form the skeletal framework of each upper